Welcome to part 2, exploring the life of King George VI. In this exploration of King George VI's life and reign, we embark on a journey through the intricacies of one of the most intriguing monarchs in British history. From the unique circumstances surrounding his coronation to challenges posed by World War II and his significant role in shaping the Commonwealth, King George VI's story is a tapestry woven with historical significance. Delving into the complexities of his relationships, health battles, and the profound impact of key events, we unravel the layers of a ruler who ascended to the throne with reluctance, but left an undeniable mark on the pages of history. Join us as we uncover the fascinating chapters that define King George VI's enduring legacy. Before stepping down, Edward VIII was slated for a coronation at Westminster Abbey on the 12th of May 1937. Although this plan never materialised, the same date was repurposed for George's coronation. George VI's coronation marked a departure from tradition by having his mother, Queen Mary, in attendance, providing much-needed support to her son. At his coronation, George's crown was mistakenly placed on his head the wrong way, leading to an awkward fumbling of the royal headwear by the Archbishop of Canterbury. George's opportunity to wear his crown nearly slipped away. Even before the Archbishop misplaced it, the Dean of Winchester stumbled while carrying the crown of St. Edward's to George's coronation, nearly causing significant damage. Fortunately, the legendary headgear was secured to a cushion by a ribbon. During the 1940s Blitz on London, the King and Queen of England narrowly escaped death at Buckingham Palace when 2 German bombs exploded in the courtyard. The Queen's defiant response, "I am glad we have been bombed, it makes me feel we can look the East End in the face," resonated with the public, solidifying the royal family's image as steadfast allies during World War II. Starting in September 1940, King George and Prime Minister Winston Churchill convened for a private and candid lunch every Tuesday to discuss the ongoing war. This practice endured for 4.5 years. In a departure from tradition, George allowed Winston Churchill to join him on the balcony at Buckingham Palace during the Victory in Europe celebrations of 1945. Under George's reign, the British Empire formally dissolved, giving way to the Commonwealth. Consequently, George became the inaugural head of the Commonwealth. George holds the distinction of being the final King of England to bear the title Emperor of India. Following the partition of British India into India and Pakistan in 1947, George adopted the titles King of India and King of Pakistan. While he relinquished the title of King of India upon its transition to a republic in 1950, he retained the title King of Pakistan until his passing. The health challenges that plagued George from his youth persisted into his adulthood. Prolonged chain smoking took a toll, resulting in lung cancer. In 1951, George underwent the removal of his left lung, casting a shadow over the king's ailing health. In 1949, George faced a serious threat to his right leg due to an arterial blockage, compelling him to postpone his scheduled tour of Australia and New Zealand for urgent surgery. On the 6th of February 1952, King George VI peacefully passed away in his sleep at the age of 56. Elizabeth, his successor, received the news while on tour in Kenya and promptly returned to Britain to ascend to the throne as Queen Elizabeth II. During their wedding, Elizabeth, George's bride, placed her bouquet on the tomb of the unknown warrior. The symbolic gesture, commemorating her lost brother Fergus, has since become a tradition followed by every royal bride. While George and Elizabeth enjoyed a happy marriage, their honeymoon had its challenges. Elizabeth contracted whooping cough in Scotland, adding an unromantic twist to their early days together. Did the King's speech therapist ever use profanity in the presence of His Majesty? Contrary to cinematic portrayals, Lionel Logue's grandson expresses skepticism about such behaviour. Additionally, he firmly believes that his grandfather would never have addressed the king as Bertie as depicted in the King's Speech. George provided financial support to his brother Edward during the latter's exile. However, Edward would frequently call George, seeking additional funds and pressuring him to bestow the title of Duchess upon Wallis Simpson. Eventually, George instructed that the X's king calls not be connected, marking a royal version of being left unread. Before significant royal speeches, George VI and Lionel Logue practiced tongue twisters to help mitigate the king's stammer. Their bond persisted until the king's demise. Lionel Logue, renowned for his work on the King's Speech, was so esteemed by the royal family that he maintained correspondence with the Queen Mother even after George's death. Upon Logue's demise in 1953, just a year after George's, the Queen and Queen Mother sent royal representatives to attend his funeral. Can you hear me? Ironically, George VI became the first monarch to address the public post-coronation via live radio. Speaking deliberately to overcome his well-known stutter, he remarked, "Never before has a newly crowned king been able to talk to all of his people in their own homes on the day of his coronation." While Edward VIII was the first royal family member to pilot an aircraft, George VI became the first fully certified pilot among them. True to his character, Bertie adhered to the rules. Born during Queen Victoria's reign, George's birth coincided with the 34th anniversary of the death of his great-grandfather, Prince Albert, Victoria's cherished consort. Despite the joyous occasion of a new baby, George's family faced anxiety about sharing this day of mourning with the reigning matriarch. To ease Queen Victoria's concerns, they named the baby Albert. In an alternative reality, Elizabeth II might not exist because her father would have married an Australian woman called Sheila, Lady Loughborough. George harboured deep feelings for Loughborough, but the situation was complicated as she was already married. The infatuation came to an end in April 1920, when George's father offered him the prestigious Dukedom of York to sever the connection. In the same year, George ended his interest in Lady Loughborough. He fell in love with his future wife, Lady Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon. It seemed George was smitten with her from the very start and was determined to make her his wife. Less than a year after ascending to the throne, Edward VIII abdicated December 11, 1936, leaving it to his younger brother, the future George VI. George, for his part, was a hesitant king. The day before the abdication, he wrote in his diary about breaking down and sobbing when informing his mother of the news. George's early reign was profoundly influenced by World War II. Constitutionally bound to support Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain, George endorsed Chamberlain's policy of appeasement towards Adolf Hitler. In a gesture of solidarity, George and his wife Elizabeth broke tradition by allowing Chamberlain onto the iconic balcony at Buckingham Palace. This close association with Chamberlain's Nazi appeasement had been deemed by some historians as the most unconstitutional act by a British sovereign in the present century. In conclusion, the life and reign of King George VI were marked by a series of extraordinary events, from the unprecedented circumstances surrounding his coronation to the challenges of World War II and his pivotal role in the formation of the Commonwealth. The intricacies of his royal relationships, health struggles, and the impact of historical events on his monarchy reveal a multifaceted journey. Despite the reluctance with which he assumed the throne and the constitutional dilemmas that he faced, King George VI left an undeniable mark on British history. His resilience, commitment to duty, and contributions to global diplomacy, especially during times of war, solidify his place as a notable figure in the annals of British history.